Good morning, Evelyn Knights. This is Mrs. Hackensmith. Today is Thursday, May 21st. All right, today we are going to read a story called The Principal's New Clothes. And it is a modern folk tale. That's the genre, modern folk tale, because it is like a remake from an older folk tale called The Emperor's New Clothes. So instead of an emperor in the story, we have a principal. Alrighty, so before we start, we know that a folk tale is going to teach us a lesson. So I want you to be thinking about what the lesson might be that this story is going to teach us. Let's take a look at some vocabulary. We have the word drafty. Drafty is when you feel cold air, kind of like a light breeze, coming in from outside. A window could be drafty. Even a wall could be drafty. Maybe you don't have much insulation in the wall. Usually it's coming from a window, or maybe there's a door open in your basement somewhere, and then the cold air from that room is coming into the other room. Sometimes that happens in my basement with the storage door that's open in my storage room. All right, the next word is delicate. Something that needs to be handled very carefully is delicate. It could be breakable. It could be very valuable. Maybe it's very old and you don't want it to fall apart. So that is delicate. And then we have imposter. An imposter is someone who pretends to be somebody that they are not. That is an imposter. Alrighty. So we are going to read The Principal's New Clothes. And I want you to be thinking about what is the lesson that this folk tale is trying to teach you. I'm going to read the little back blurb too. It says, Mr. Bundy, the principal of Public School 88, is the sharpest dresser in school. In fact, he's the sharpest dresser in the whole town. But when two tricksters come to town and design a suit of magic cloth for Mr. Bundy, everyone is in for a big surprise. So we have two tricksters coming to town. A trickster is somebody who plays tricks. Alrighty. So here we go. I'm going to scooch you over so you can see the pictures a little better. There we go. Mr. Bundy is the principal of PS Public School 88. He is also the sharpest dresser in town. Kind of reminds me of Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf is a pretty sharp dresser. If you are a sharp dresser, it means you're a very good dresser. His students never miss a day of school. They like to see what he's wearing. Looking good, Mr. B, they always say. Mr. Bundy had so many clothes, he can go a whole month with not wearing the same suit twice. Sometimes he changes at lunchtime just to show off. Now, one day, a man and a woman who say they were tailors are people who make clothing, called on Mr. Bundy. Their card said, Mo and Ivy, we make suits that suit you fine. But they were not really tailors. They were tricksters. Greetings, Mr. B, said Ivy. How would you like to buy an amazing, one-of-a-kind suit? I have so many suits already, said Mr. Bundy. Ah, but this is no ordinary suit, said Mo. It has special powers. A magic suit with such special powers. Sounds intriguing. Let's check it out. What do you mean? Asked Mr. Bundy. Mo looked to his left, and then he looked to his right, and then he whispered in Mr. Bundy's ear, We make our clothes from special cloth. It is invisible to anyone who is no good at his job and just plain stupid. Really? Said Mr. Bundy. Yes, said Ivy. Not only will you look great, but you can find out if anyone in your school is no good at his job or stupid. That is amazing, cried Mr. Bundy. Now, if you'll take off your jacket and lift up your arms, sir, said Ivy, grinning, we will take your measurements. We will also take your money, mumbled Mo. The next day, Mo and Ivy set up a workshop in the gym. It was not long before the whole school heard about the amazing cloth and wanted to see it. Students asked to be excused to get a drink of water. Then they ran to the gym to peek. Teachers said they were going next door to borrow chalk, but then they ran to the gym too. But no one could see a thing. By the end of the week, Mr. Bundy began to wonder what his new clothes looked like. But he was also a little worried. What if he could not see the cloth? So he sent his vice principal, Miss Moore, to have a look. Miss Moore was smart and good at her job. She would have no trouble seeing the special cloth. So remember, if you are a person who is no good at your job, or you're stupid, as they say in the book, you're not going to be able to see the fabric. Then it's invisible to you. But if you are really good at your job and a really smart person, you'll have no problem seeing the fabric. Do you think that's real or fantasy? Miss Moore hurried to the gym. She knocked on the door. Mr. Bundy sent me to see his new clothes, she called over the noise of the whining machines. A moment later, the door opened a crack, and Miss Moore slipped inside. So, do you predict that she will be able to see the fabric or not? What do you think? Asked Mo. Have you ever seen anything like it? So see the hanger? Do you see anything on the hanger? Poor Miss Moore. She could not see a thing. Can it be that I'm stupid or unfit to do my job? She wondered. I've tried so hard to be a good vice principal. She took off her glasses. She wiped them and looked again. But Miss Moore had to think fast. It was no use. If she told the truth, she might get fired. It's beautiful, she said. I'm going to tell Mr. Bundy right now how much I like his new clothes. Is Miss Bundy telling the truth? I think she's lying. Why do you think she's lying? Yeah, she doesn't want to appear stupid or bad at her job. So she pretends that she can see the fabric to show that she is good at her job and not stupid. "Your suit is great," Miss Moore told Mr. Bundy. "I've never seen anything like it. And now I've got to run and make a phone call. Bye." She hurried off before Mr. Bundy could ask any questions. Now Mr. Bundy was more curious than ever. So if you were Miss Moore, what would you have done? Would you have said, "I can't see a thing"? Or would you have done what Miss Moore did and told a little lie? He stopped Roger in the hall. Roger was one of the smartest students in the school. If he couldn't see the suit, nobody could. "Say, Roger," said Mr. Bundy, "do me a favor and find out how my new suit is coming along." Roger couldn't believe his ears. "Wow," he said, "I'll be the first one to see the principal's new clothes. Wait till the class hears about this." And he raced off to the gym. What do you think Roger's going to do? Will he tell the truth? The door was still open, so Roger peeked inside. He could see Mo and Ivy at their sewing machines hard at work, but he could not see the cloth. "Oh no," Roger thought. "If Mrs. Feeney finds out I can't see this cloth, she'll say I'm stupid and she'll fail me for sure." So on the way back to his class, Roger poked his head into Mr. Bundy's office. "Super suit," he said. "What does it look like?" asked Mr. Bundy. "Oh, I can't stop now, Mr. B. Miss Feeney's giving a test, and I wouldn't want to miss it." So he tells a little lie too, doesn't he? Can he see the fabric? Was he stupid? I don't think so. Mr. Bundy couldn't stand it any longer. "I'll have to go and see for myself." He marched down the hall and walked into the gym. Mr. Bundy looked at the empty machines, and he blinked once, he blinked twice. He began to tremble. Why is he scared? He can't see it, can he? So does that mean he's bad at his job or stupid? How can this be, he wondered. Am I really no good at my job? Is there anything wrong? Asked Ivy. "Oh, no," said Mr. Bundy. The suit, it's fantastic. I can hardly wait to try it on." Mr. Bundy handed Mo and Ivy 2 gold stars to show how much he liked his new suit. "I'd like to wear the suit to the assembly tomorrow," he said. "But I guess it won't be ready." He turned to go. "Yes, it will," said Mo. "We will work on it all night and bring it to your house in the morning." Well, that night Mr. Bundy dreamed cold and drafty dreams. There's that word, drafty. He's going to be cold because he didn't see any fabric. He didn't see a suit. So he's thinking he's going to be naked. Early the next morning, Mo and Ivy appeared holding their empty hangers in the air. Ivy waited in the other room while Mo helped Mr. Bundy put on his new clothes. "You must be careful stepping into the pants," he said. "The cloth is very delicate." Which means you could maybe wreck them easily. How does he look in his new suit? Ivy tried not to look at Mr. Bundy. "Aren't your new clothes light?" she said. "It's almost like having nothing on at all, isn't it?" Mr. Bundy stared at himself in the mirror, and he prayed that the rest of the world was smarter and fitter than he. because then they would be able to see the suit, right? "Are you coming to the assembly?" asked Mr. Bundy. "Oh, thanks, but no thanks," said Ivy. "We have a bus to catch. And now, if you could pay us, we'll just run along." Mo handed Mr. Bundy the bill. Mr. Bundy handed Mo a great deal of money. So they wanted to get out of town fast, didn't they? Before somebody told him maybe that he wasn't wearing a suit. On the way to school, the Bundy's neighbors all raved about the clothes they did not see. So all of his neighbors are raving, which means they're telling him how wonderful he looks. His clothes are fabulous. If you rave about something, you absolutely love it. After all, they didn't want their friends to find out that they were stupid and no good at their jobs. So they also lied and pretended that they could see it. Mr. Bundy walked into the auditorium. As he walked down the aisle, he could hear whispers all around him. Mr. Bundy thought he must be the only stupid person in town. Suddenly, a kindergarten child called out, "The principal's in his underwear!" That did it. Everyone burst out laughing. The truth had been told. Mr. Bundy and the teachers and students knew they had been tricked. No one had been willing to tell the truth because they were worried about what others would think of them. Mr. Bundy stood on the stage, red in the face. He was embarrassed. Knees shaking from the chill. He was cold. But not for long. What do you think's going to happen next? What do you think? The kids and teachers wanted to help Mr. Bundy. They began passing up shirts and sweatpants, jackets and ties and caps. And soon Mr. Bundy had a new suit. "Looking good, Mr. B," called Roger from the back row. Mr. Bundy called the kindergarten child up onto the stage. He shook her hand and gave her a gold star. "Thank you for telling the truth, Alice," he said. Everyone cheered. They knew Mr. Bundy was smart and good at his job. And they all agreed Mr. Bundy was still the sharpest dresser in town. Alrighty. So I said this was a modern day folktale. It's supposed to teach a lesson. Think about what you learned from this story. Is it okay just to go along with everybody else and say, kind of lie and say that you can't see it, admit that, you really can't see it, but you're not going to admit that. You're going to say, "Yeah, your suit looks wonderful." Except for the little kindergartner. She says, "He's in his underwear." So I thought a good lesson might be to trust and have confidence with yourself. And don't go along with what others say and do. Be true to yourself and do what you think is the right choice to do. All right, that was a fun story. All right, so today on the matrix, it says read the principal's new clothes. We did that. And then what you're going to do is you are going to go to your scrapbook and you are going to write on page hang on, come with me, we'll answer the phone. Okay. All right, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so you are going to do a page in your memory book, and it's the All About Me page, okay? And you are going to answer the questions, and then you're going to color it. You're going to answer the questions with a pencil, and then you can color and decorate it, but don't color over your writing, okay? And then you can put this on Seesaw so I can see it and take a good look at it. All right? So that is what you are going to do for your reading lesson. So I'm going to switch over to the book camera, and we're going to go over our math lesson. You need page 615, 616 today. All right, I'll see you at the book camera. Okay, so we have the matrix out. Today we are going to work on lesson 4. We're going to do the independent practice numbers 4 through 16 on pages 615, 616 in your math packet. And then when you're done, complete the right math at the bottom of the page. So, let's take a look at 615. Independent practice. Okay, use the clock, tell us what time is shown, and then write the time. Remember, we're doing the quarter hour. So remember, the red hand is the hour hand. The hour hand goes on the left side of the 2 dots. And the minute hand shows the minutes. And you're going to write the minutes on the right side on the digital clock. Okay, so you're going to read the analog clock and then write down what time it is on the digital clock. Okie doke. And then 7, 8, and 9. You are going to draw the hands on each clock, excuse me, and then write the time on the digital clock. So a quarter till 2. Remember, Mrs. Hackensmith says a quarter to 2. It means the same thing. It's just a quarter till is a little bit of an old-fashioned way to say it. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, and then number 8, quarter past 5, and number 9, a quarter past 12. Down at the bottom, you're going to read the time that is written in words, and you're going to write it in numbers on the digital clock. Turn your paper over to 616. Let's look at the top. You're going to solve the problem about Mia is at school. School is over at 3:15. She has 3 more hours to wait. What time is it now? So 3:15 is when school is over, so you have to count back the 3 hours that she has to wait. Okay, number 14. Ken goes to his friend's house at 2:15. Circle the clock that shows this time. Okay, so which one shows 2:15? All right, let's take a look at the brain builders. Aaliyah's family went hiking. They left 1 hour before 11:45. They drove for 3 hours. Then they stopped for lunch. Lunch took 1 hour. What time did they finish lunch? So, Aaliyah's family went hiking. They left 1 hour before 11:45. Alrighty, so what time did they leave? 1 hour before 11:45. So I'm going to put my clock at 11:45. Here is 11:45. Now, if they left 1 hour before that, you would have to go back an hour. So, what is 1 hour before 11:45? That would be 9:45. Okay, so a way of writing 9:45 is like saying 10, because the hour hand is pointing at the 10. Here's the hour hand. Okay. Oh, pardon me, Mrs. Hackensmith. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. All right, it is not quite 10 o'clock yet, is it? So the hour hand is not directly on the 10, so we still go back to the 9. And then let's see how many minutes our minute hand is at. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. When our minute hand is on the 9, that is 45 minutes. Alrighty, so that's when they left. Let's keep reading. They drove for 3 hours. Then they stopped for lunch. So let's see what time they stopped for lunch. All right, so here's a quarter to 10. Quarter to 11 is 1 hour. Quarter to 12 is 2 hours. Quarter to 1 is 3 hours. So this is what time they stopped and had lunch. So it's not quite 1 o'clock yet. So we go back to the 12. And then when the minute hand is pointing at the 9, that is 45 minutes. So they stopped to eat at 12:45. Now let's keep reading because that's not what our question is. It says lunch took 1 hour. What time did they finish lunch? So this is when they left. This is when they started lunch. And if lunch took 1 hour, here we are at 12:45. An hour means the minute hand goes all the way around one time from where it started. So the hour hand is not directly on the 2. The minute hand is 3/4 of the way around the clock. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. And so we say it is, we go back to the hour here, the 1. And when the big hand is on the 9, it is 45. So they finished lunch at 1:45. Okay. Then down here at the bottom, it says, why is each 15-minute period on a clock called 1/4 of an hour? Because your clock can be divided into quarters here. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4. When you have 4 parts that equal a whole, that is called a quarter. Okay, so 1/4 of an object, in our case, the clock, is 1 out of 4 pieces. Okay, there are 4 15-minute pieces in a clock. There are 4 15-minute I'm going to say sections to a clock. Each section is 15 minutes long. Okay, so why is each 15-minute period on a clock called 1/4? Because there are 4 sections to a clock. and each section is 15 minutes long. So that's why we call it the quarter hour. All right. Okay, so go ahead and finish your All About Me page. And that's really all you have to do today. And then put it on Seesaw. If you want to put your math on Seesaw, that is fine. Otherwise, you can wait until tomorrow until we correct it together. All right, thanks, Knights. That's all I have for you today. Bye-bye.